Hi Year 10, welcome back to Term 2. I hope you're all doing well and had a great Easter break and are ready to begin this term. So we're starting off this term with Pythagoras' theorem. We will be going on to some trigonometry, some coordinate geometry and then algebraic fractions. So nice and easy to start with. We're not actually going to start off with Pythagoras' theorem, but we're just going to start off with a little bit of content that seems easy and is easy but it becomes really important in different parts of maths, and quite often people forget this in their exams. So I want to make a point of really going through this because, as I said, often people forget it in an exam situation. And that is when we are solving x squared equals k. So when we solve this, there's actually three different ways we can answer the question. So if that k value is greater than 0, then x actually equals a plus or minus of square root of k. And you'll see that when we get to the examples. If k was to equal 0, then x equals 0 and there's only one solution. And if k is less than 0, so negative, then there are no real solutions because we can't find the square root of a negative number. Not in the real number system. There is a complex number system where we can do that, but we're not going to concentrate on that this year. That will come into maths next year, depending which maths you pick. So let's have a look at some of these examples. So first of all, we have x squared equals 9, and we want to solve that. So what most of you will say is you will go, that equals 3. And you're right, but you are only half right. So what I mean here is if we were to solve this, and using that first rule up here of if k is greater than 0, then x equals plus or minus the square root of the number. Now we know the square root of 9 is 3, so x will equal plus or minus 3. It doesn't just equal positive 3, because negative 3 times negative 3 also equals 9. So when you actually find the square root of a number, normally you actually should be writing the plus or minus of that number. Now this tends to then come down to the type of question, the wording of the question, as to whether you just write the positive or you write the positive and negative. Alright, let's look at B. We have x squared equals 13. So nice and easy, x will equal plus or minus the square root of 13. Now we can't do anything in the square root of 13, so we're just going to leave it like that. C. We're going to have x equals the square root of negative 2. Now if we look at the third rule, above where k equals less than 0, it says there are no real solutions because we can't work out the square root of negative 2. If you try and put that in your calculator, you will get an error. So what that means is there are no real solutions. And you will need to write that as your answer. Now part D, we've got x squared plus 9 equals 16. So this then just requires us to rearrange first. So remember x squared will equal 16 minus 9, which is 7. So x will equal the plus or minus of square root 7. Part E, 3x squared equals 72. We're going to get x squared equals 72 divided by 3, which is 24. Then we take the square root of that, so we're going to have plus or minus the square root of 24. Now I want you to think if that is our final answer. If you said yes, unfortunately you are incorrect. The answer is no, this is not our final answer. So think back to week 9 and week 10 of math last term. We can simplify this. So the square root of 24 can be changed into the square root of 4 times the square root of 6, which will be 2 root 6. Now we have it in simplified form. So remember, surds simplify if we can. And we still have the plus or minus there. And then the last one, we need to do some expanding and simplifying a lot of different steps first. So we've got x squared plus 3x all squared equals 100. So we can't do square roots yet. That won't work. Okay. First of all, we need to simplify as much as possible. So x squared, that's fine, but we want to get rid of these brackets. So 3x all squared. Remember, everything in the bracket has to be squared. So it's going to be 9x squared equals 100. X squared plus 9x squared, they're like terms, so it would be 10x squared. Now we just rearrange, so divide both sides by 10. and then we can do the square root. So it'd be x equals the plus or minus the square root of 10. And we can't simplify that, so that is our answer. So now in your booklets for Pythagoras, you can do exercise 6a. When you are doing your booklets, remember you need to show all your working. Okay, we don't just want some answers there. With doing online learning, we want to make sure that you are working things out correctly. When we are checking your booklets, we know you know how to solve it and you haven't just written an answer. If you just write an answer, we don't know that you know how to do it. So you need to make sure you show it all your working for every question. So if there's any mistakes being made, we can work out where they are. All right, so have fun with that and I will see you for the next video.